Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Couch GM here in T-Mobile Park in Seattle. If you think back to the old Mariners commercial where Edgar Martinez made a light bat.
And here's a surprise. For once, it's not a bat. Oh, it is a bat.
It's a light bat.
Well, this is kind of similar. It's a mic bat. We just heard Scott Hunter, the director of amateur scouting in the dugout, talking about the MLB Draft, which is occurring next Sunday in Seattle, actually across the street here in Lumen Park. And he talked about how deep this draft is in particular. He talked about the high school talent in the first round. He talked about the college talent in the mid rounds. How over the past 3 years, there's just been an escalation in the ability of high school players throwing 95 plus. You got Paul Skeens at LSU in college throwing 100, 102 miles an hour, 7 innings into the game. And with the Mariners having 3 picks in the top 30 this year, they have the 22nd, the 29th, and the 30th overall picks. They're bound to stock up their farm system yet again, either to develop the talent or have it there in case there's a trade partner down the road. So with that, here's the media availability with Scott Hunter.
It almost seems like we're overlooking the draft with all the All-Star stuff going on.
It's
I know you're not overlooking.
No, but it's exciting time to be up here. I mean, our scouts, our staff, the electricity in the city, but yeah, the All-Star game is a big deal, obviously. We're a sideshow right now.
It's got 4 really high picks. How do you kind of approach this year's draft?
Yeah, actually, I mean, great opportunity for not only our scouting group, but the organization as a whole to keep this thing rolling. Where we're producing, internal players for draft, for internal, promotions to the big leagues, and hopefully trades if we ever need that part of it as well. But right now, I mean, the way I really look at it is we have 3 picks in the top 30. Just line up the best 30 players in the country. We're going to get 3 of them to the organization, and that's a pretty good place to be sitting.
And given where you guys are selecting with those 3 in particular, does it allow you to plan a little bit better, knowing that they're all pretty much staggered right behind each other?
Yes and no. We have a bigger pocket of players we have to cover this year. In a deep draft, I think it's also a very deep high school draft. So our guys bouncing around the country quite a bit, having a bigger, because 1 pick would have been, okay, we could have had a narrow pocket, but to keeping everything wide open and being prepared for things that'll fall our way, it's being a little bit, I would say, more intense this year than in most years.
Scott, I think Jerry said on the radio the other day it's the deepest draft he can remember. What makes it that way this year?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of like the depth in college in the mid rounds and the depth in the high school player up top right now. I mean, there's probably a consensus 5 players in this draft. I think if you look at the publications, that'll be gone. But then from pick like 6 through 30, it could go a lot of different directions. There's no real industry like standard. I mean, we have a good idea of who's going to go before us, but the depth of it is just a good combination of good position players on both sides of the high school ranks and college ranks.
Is some of this just coming out of COVID where things have reset because you had a couple of years where it was, funky with high schools not playing and then college missing time?
I think it's a part of it, and just the way college baseball is right now. I mean, it's really, it's mainstream. It's getting bigger. It's getting more competitive in that aspect. But also the high school kids from various parts of the country. It's not just California, Georgia, and Florida anymore. I mean, the cold weather climates, the Northeast, the Midwest. I mean, these kids, there's more, I guess, focus on baseball from those areas, and we're starting to see a lot of players from various parts that we normally didn't in years past.
Scott, what are you seeing in terms of how long it takes a high schooler now? Is that changing as there's more available and what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think, the way the training, kids are so much more mature now. It's amazing how many times you go to a draft room and say, this kid throws 98, maybe needs to go to college. And those are, you're talking about high school kids like that. I think just the training age and the things that kids are exposed to, they're just getting so much bigger, stronger, and faster, and they're so specialized right now. There's not a real margin, a real separation between the premium high school guys and the college guys that have had 3 years, the physicality-wise.
Scott, you mentioned it. You just touched on the college game. So we're not imagining the College World Series being so crazy and incredible. The players are getting better, or is it top-heavy, or how is it?
Yeah, you know what? We've done really well as an organization in the mid-majors and the mid-rounds, but you can see at the top of the draft, the LSUs, the Floridas. There's a lot of different theories on the portal and the NIL money, and then there's like some super teams growing in college baseball right now, which makes scouting a lot easier because you can go to the College World Series or it's SEC weekend and see 15 players that may go in the top 5 rounds of the draft. So, but that doesn't eliminate smaller schools, because we've done very well with the George Kirby's, the Logan Gilberts. I mean, these mid-major, we have some guys coming through our systems right now that are D2 players that are throwing 98, 99 miles an hour. That's where our scouts are really have done a good job of buying in. It's just not the major programs because players come from everywhere.
What's changed in the evaluation process given how quickly guys make it to the big leagues? And like you're saying, hitters are seeing 98 consistently.
Yeah, you know, hitting's gotten so hard across baseball on the minor league level, the amateur level, because guys are throwing. There's so much spin and so much action, and guys are specializing. They're not going 5, 6, 7 innings deep anymore. You're seeing 2 and 3 different pitchers every outing, and you watch a college game now, and even a high school game, and they're rolling out guys 95 to 98 every outing. That's been probably the hardest thing, is to adjust like what we see in like the swing and miss rates, what's real, what's not, because these guys are seeing so many advanced arms at an earlier part of their career.
Scott, did you think Jerry was going to trade one of the 2 tradable picks at any point?
No, you know what? No, I think he's been very excited since last year. Obviously, you know, we've been in a great spot as an organization, you know, with the playoffs last year. Obviously not, you know, where we want to be right now as an organization on the field at a big league level, but as an organization depth-wise, this is a great opportunity to keep restocking. I think he values those draft picks very heavily, and probably would have seen me cry if we did give up one of them, because it's the first time we've been in a position to do something like this and have a lot of flexibility with maybe even moving some money around or getting aggressive if an opportunity arises.
How's the evaluation? Like this year, college baseball homers were up a massive amount. How much did the stuff you saw in the Cape with some of these college guys and everything else? Because it seemed like the balls were just flying out.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, we've looked over the last 3 years college baseball, the amount of power has changed. I mean, kids are getting bigger and stronger, but guys are throwing harder, but there has been a big jump over the last 3 years, year over year, the amount of home runs per game and the amount of home runs, you know, for the season. I think it's all relative to the class as well. I mean, the ones at the top of the class are still going to do what they do. I mean, some of the exit velocities are a little ridiculous. The 118, 120 in the college, you know, World Series, seeing guys hitting balls out of the stadium. Probably not going to play that way with the wood bat as we've seen even at the MLB Combine last week. It's a little different when you see the kids take it with the wood bat. So that's where it really comes down to our scouts really understanding what a good swing is, what works at the next level, and really if power is real or not. That's the one thing that we really have to be cognizant of, because there is a lot of it on the surface that says there's a lot of power being produced out in baseball right now.
How valuable is that MLB Combine as a newer event to kind of aid in your evaluation process?
You know what, I think it's a great supplement to what we do. It's never going to like replace seeing games, getting to know players, seeing them in their environment, and seeing adversity. But I think as an organization, we have 5 of us there. We met with 78 different players. You get to meet them, you know, on a personal level. A handful of them did on-field workouts, and some of the players actually picked up the wood bats and started taking BP, which is good and bad. I mean, good for us, and it could be bad for some of them, because at times there is a big difference.
Scott, how much does not being able to be in your own building for you, like logistically for the draft, affect you guys, and what adjustments do you have to make to have any set up over there?
Yeah, I mean, some of the guys are stressing about it, but we have a pretty good crew. We've been doing this together now. This will be our 7th draft. It's a good group. We can do it in a hotel room if we needed to, as long as we have the monitors and the boards. And I think that's the one thing that has given me kind of like peace of mind through this whole year when travel gets hard and the player pool gets deep and we're trying to figure out where we're going, is we do our best work when we all come together in a small group like this, from our analysts to our scouts to Jerry to Justin to our high performance, you know, talking to guys like Trent and JD helping out. Like we do a good job of having good conversations and being willing to change our minds, because the one thing, it's one, you know, see an industry list or have a strong feeling as a scout, but when you gather all this information, have like a lot of good people that have a different view of the player, when that comes together, it can be special, and that's hopefully what we can continue to keep doing.
Thank you.
No problem. Great. We'll see you guys.
All right, guys. Goodbyes only. Don't forget it.